Boleh, boleh, boleh.
Uh, we wait for a while, so we have 100 plus happens. We expect more, right? Right. I think we can slowly start. Right. Okay. So today we begin with engineering seminar number 2. All right. So we have a title of occupational safety and health awareness and lesson learned from incident. All right. So our topic today is Tajul Arifin bin Muhammad Nori, which is Senior Assistant Director from Forensic Engineering Department, JKP. Right? So I will brief a little bit regarding our speaker. Right? So Tajul Arifin is a federal and machinery inspector, Malaysian Law Enforcement Authority and Occupational Safety and Health and Acts. He graduated from UTM in 2008 and Master in Science in 2017. All right. He served as a subcommittee member since 2016. He host events such as investigation, forensic engineering for more than 10 years. Right. Currently, he is working with forensic engineering division, Department of OSH, an agency under Ministry of Human Resource Malaysia. For over decades, experience in various workplace accident investigation, including the construction industry, demolition work, factory, power plant, alright, then and more, alright. Tajul also represented DOSH on construction activities, standard technical committee, alright, developed by the Construction Industry Development Board Malaysia. Alright. Recently, he also receiving the SME expert, right? Subject matter expert in forensic engineering, right? So, without further ado, I will you to invite Ayuh to give his speech. You can ask if you have any questions.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. Everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, we can.
Hi guys. So I see a lot of students here.
Hi.
I hope you guys stay safe at home, I guess. So first of all, I would like to thanks to the organizer, college, the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, University Technical Malaysia Melaka, for inviting me for today's session. So let me share my screen first. You guys see my screen now? I guess you guys see my screen now, right?
No,
Oh, yeah, betul.
see.
Do you see it? Not yet.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Yes.
You see my desktop, right?
right.
Okay, so this is my slide for today. So So today I will be sharing my experience on OSH, occupational safety and health awareness, some lessons learned from accident. Just now, Dr. Shukri brief about myself. So for the past 10 years, I've been involved with the workplace accident investigation. Yes, there are cases involved with not only in the field of mechanical engineering, but also with other engineering fields like chemical, construction, civil, and also electrical. So today, I will be sharing with you. So hopefully, when you graduated and join the any workplace, this will give some beneficial knowledge for you guys. Okay. Okay. So for today contents, I will be talking about the introduction of occupational safety and health, some historical development in our country, and the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, or known as OSHA, some legal requirement in Malaysia, and then I will share with you some of the case study that occurred in Malaysia and what we can learn from this accident. Okay, if you have any question throughout our briefing today, you can ask, or maybe you can wait until I finish all my slide. But if you have anything to ask, just let me. I think you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, so let's go on the introduction to occupational safety and health. So what is OSH? So the OSH, the objective is the reason why we need to the occupational safety and health is it is a tool for any organization as their business strategy and the method to prevent work-related injuries or ill health, so that your workplace is more safer and healthy. So this the employers, owners, managers of any organizations to improve safety and health condition at their workplace. So normally they put management system, the OSH. By the OSH, it will help employers and workers to find a way to get the cost-effective and practical solution to control the any hazard or risk at their workplace that might harm their workers. And then, of course, with the if you properly manage your cost at your workplace, you will prevent accident, and straight away you will improve your productivity without any accident. And this will promote attractive social culture for the organization and will enhance the motivation to work more effectively. If you someday you graduated and join, or maybe you will have your practical training in the industry, if you go to uh, a multinational company, then you see the social culture a bit different compared to the small medium industry, because they put the above all for their work, their business strategy. Yes. And last but not least, by manage the OSH, you might comply with a law and regulation. And our country, we have a law and regulation that oversee the OSH at the workplace. So management of OSH is something essential for your business. Okay, we take a look on the safety and health scenario. So according to the International Labour Organization under the United Nations or the ILO, so every year almost 2.78 million workers die from occupational accident and work-related disease. This is a very huge numbers. So we see the current pandemic, the COVID-19. I think it's almost a year since the outbreak. So the total number from the COVID-19 is 1.3 something, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And that is half of this number for a year. So workplace is something that we need to look for. We cannot neglect this. And about 274 million workers suffer from non-fatal occupational accident. It means that they have the accident, but they survive the accident, but they're living with difficulties and disabilities. It's a big number, big populations. And among adults, 5% of them experience hearing loss and 20% of lower back and neck pain due to work-related exposure. And according to the ILO, almost the lost work is due to stop work order, the accident, the sick leave cost about 4% of world's GDP. And if it goes domestic by the country, some of the country almost 6% more. And if we reflect into the numbers, this will reflect a huge amount of money. So we take on some of the accident cases happen around the world. This is the Beirut explosion happened this year on August. It's very shocking accident. Is caused by the stored ammonium nitrate. This had caused 204 deaths, 6,500 injuries, and the cost of the accident is about 50 billion US dollar in property damage, which caused about 300,000 people homeless. Thing like this in our country, we have the regulation under the OSHA cover the control of industrial major hazard accident. This is a major hazard accident which involve with the ammonium nitrate. So we have regulation that may protect our country from the explosion like this. Then the Water Horizon, the BP oil rig explosion in 2010, the damage is very catastrophic. The platform to sink into the ocean. This caused about 11 workers, while 70 others were injured. And according to a journal from 2018, the cost of the oil spill is about 145 billion US dollar. It's a very huge amount. And this is in US dollar. So compared to our annual budget is still multiple than our annual budget. Then another shocking accident happened due to the collapse of the roller crane happened in the Holy Land of Mecca. This had caused about 111 people died and injured 394. This is some of the case happen around the world that we need to consider this when we are dealing with the engineering management in the workplace. Okay, so looking at our local context in our Malaysia, we have almost every week we have a very shocking accident that involve public and also the workplace, like the tower crane structure collapse, the factory explosion. This is look like identical to the Beirut explosion. This is happened in Penang, a factory explosion. And currently we are under our investigation looking into this. This is a steamy industry. And also the workplace accident affected the public who use the adjacent road, like the case happened in KL recently, affected a woman. It was lucky he escaped the death, but the accident, something that we cannot take for granted. We need to make sure this will never happen again. So if you look into our DOSH website, you can go to our website. Can you see my screen? So if you go to our website, you can see a list of accident cases, fatal accident cases. So we record the accident cases. So you can see how many fatality cases happen around our country. Almost every month we have many casualties due to the workplace accident. And this alarming situation is very critical for us. So I would like to share with you the statistic on the accident cases around our country. So this is the statistic of number of accident for the 5 years. We can see the increase of accident numbers, and also for the non-disability accident and the disability accident, the trend is increasing trend. And for the fatality cases, the case doesn't have much changes in the number of cases. So the reason, one of the reason why we look the increase, yep, why we see the increase of the accident, because it also the number of reporting accident to the our department, to the DOSH. So we take a look on the accident rate and fatality rate. So for the accident rate, we look at 1,000 workers. It shows some reduction in the rate from 2017 until 2019. And the fatality rate over 1,000 workers also shows some reduction, but not much. So if we compare to our to others developed countries, our rate of accident in 2018 almost close to in the United Kingdom, but our fatality rate is higher compared to our neighbor country, Singapore. So we should not be happy with the number. We need to do something to reduce the accident rate. So now I would like to share with you the development of OSH in Malaysia. So the OSH exists from 19th century. So back in the 19th century, in the late 19th century, our historical background, we are very famous with the tin mining. So the first law on the OSH is on the we have the boiler ordinance. This is before our independence, which enforced by the machinery branch under the mineral department. So most of the safety focusing on this boiler safety. That's before 1940. And then there are not much changes until 1962, still under the boiler ordinance law, but the machinery branch from the mineral department have expanded to become the machinery department under the Ministry of Human Resource. Then before that it was Ministry of Labour. And then after our independence, because of the Industrial Revolution, it is the era of industrial safety. And from that era, the Factory and Machinery Act 1967 was gazetted. This is the law on the factory and machinery, and the department has changed to Factory and Machinery Department. At that time, there's a lot of factory being opened. And from 1970 before 1994, our country start looking into the safety and the industrial hygiene. And since 1994 until now, the new law has been introduced to our country, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. The OSHA and the Department of Factory and Machinery Department have changed to Department of Occupational Safety and Health, or better known as the DOSH. Yes. So far. So we take a look on our local OSH framework, our regulatory framework. So basically, we have two main legislation on the OSH law. The first is the OSHA 1994, and it has the regulation, orders, the code of practice, and the guidelines under the law. And the other one is Factory and Machinery Act, or FMA 1967. It's still being enforced until now. This law, the OSHA is looking on the management of OSH on the workplace in general, and the Factory and Machinery Act is more looking into the factory and machinery safety. And both of these law is enforced by the DOSH, Department of Occupational Safety and Health. You can download the law from our web page, from the ads, and we have put our regulation, our orders, cooperative and guideline from on the website. You can download from there. Okay. So first we take a look on the Factory and Machinery Act 1967. So this law was enacted in 1967, and this is to supersede the machinery ordinance 1953, and it was revised in 1974 and amended in 2006. So if you notice, the Factory and Machinery Act is gazetted in the same year as the Registration of Engineer Act. Registration Engineer Act is the law to govern the registration of engineer. So this is important when you graduated or before you graduated. Make sure when you graduate, you register with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. Because if you are working as engineer and not register as the graduate engineer, it is something illegal in Malaysia. Please remember that, because I see many of our local engineer do not register as graduate engineer. So this law, the purpose of this law is to cover the safety, health, and welfare, the registration and inspection of machinery, and to issue the license to individual. I think that there's some disturbance. I think Ashraf Mustafa, can you mute? Okay, thank you. So the FMA is it issue a license to individual or company carry out the activity under the act. For example, the lift and escalator. You need to have the competent person with the firm to maintain, install, and manage the lift and escalator. And the provision of the act is more on prescriptive. For example, like everything they will specifically guide in the provision, is spelled out in the provision in specific, like the guard of the machinery will tell you what is the specific specification you need to comply. This is very law, and over time it is not relevant due to the changes in the state of the art. So the approach of FMA is using the checklist system. For example, when you want to have your machinery, it will tell you everything what item you need to have at your machinery, like the safety device, everything is strictly specified in the provision of FMA, and it emphasizes on the workers and machinery to prevent the accident. And because of this prescriptive law, so the impression that the OSH responsible is on the government control, and this make the industry, they depend on the government regulation. So the FA only cover some industry, but other industry not covered by the FMA have a very alarming rate of accident and permanent disability cases. So the government draft the piece of law to control the other sectors. So in 1994, government have gazetted a new law known as the OSHA 1994 to cover the limitation of the Factory and Machinery Act. Because the Factory and Machinery Act only cover the manufacturing, the mining, quarrying and construction activities. Like the other industry like, for example, foods, hotel, restaurant, and other business services, they are not covered. So the OSHA come out to cover almost 90% of our total nation total power at that time, except for the ship and the armed force, because for the ship they have the ship ordinance, while the armed force is not covered by our law. And the approach is using the self-regulation, and it specifies some of the general duties of the employer in the law. Okay, so the OSHA promote, stimulate, and encourage high standard of safety and health at work. It secure and protect the person at work against the risk to safety arising from the activities of the person at work, and it promote the safer environment, which adapt not only to the physical but also sociological and psychological person at work. And the approach is the self-regulation. Self-regulation means you can do any activity, but it no longer depend on the government to tell you how you are going to do it, or how you want to do it. Self-regulation is you open a workplace, or you start a company, then there are associated hazards at your workplace, and you must ensure that the hazard and risk from your undertaking or activities properly managed, so that your workers do not harm by them. That is the self-regulation approach. So whatever happen at your workplace, you have a statutory duty to ensure the safety and health of your workers. And of course, this law will give the enabler to draft the regulation and the code of practice. Even though it's self-regulation, but the regulation and industrial code of practice will tell you specifically how some of the activity need to be done, or the best practice. So this is a comparison, some comparison. So whatever contradiction on the FMA, the OSHA will supersede the FMA. And the scope of FMA is only cover these 4 industries, but under the OSHA, it will cover most of the workplace. Okay. This is some portion of the law. You can read from our website. You can download. So I will not go into the detail. It put generally what the employers, self-employed person, designers, manufacturers, and how you deal with the accidents at your workplace. For the FMA, the provision is the part of provision look like less than the OSHA, but it tell you very prescriptive provision. So it is thicker than the OSHA law. So in the framework of the Act, under the Act, there are regulations, orders, industrial code of practice, and guidelines. For the Act, you must comply with the Act, and the regulation is something that it describes what the need of the Act in more details. Also, the orders, you need to comply with the orders. The industrial code of practice is the best practice that you can comply. But for the guideline, it just give you a guideline, and it is not mandatory for you to comply with the guideline. Under the OSHA, there are provision to report any accident or dangerous occurrence, and it tell you in detail what you need to do when you have accident cases under the regulation. When you have an accident at workplace, the requirement to report the accident is under the NEDEPOD regulation. Okay. So apart from the mandatory requirement, there are OSH voluntary requirements like the MS standard, MS 1722, our national standard, the OSH management system. This is not compulsory, but if you have the system, you may comply with the law. And also the international OSH system, ISO 45001, which will replace the OSHAs. Currently, most of the workplace, they are using the OSHAs, but that will expire next year. Apart from that, there are guidelines from the ILO that any employees can use to manage their safety and health at their workplace. So, previously I told you that there are two laws. So, currently, we are trying to merge both law, the factory and machinery and OSHA, and it already been passed into the parliament for the first reading. You need to pass the second and third reading before both factory and OSHA, factory and machinery Act and OSHA can be merged. There will be the new OSHA, maybe this year or next year. We don't know yet. It depends on our parliament session. So in future, there will be only one single law that govern the safety and health of the workplace in our country. Okay, so far everything okay? You have any question?
Okay.
Okay, now I would like to share with you some of the workplace accidents that I have investigated at the workplace. So this is the first case happened in Subanjaya, which caused multiple casualties. This is explosion cases from a very famous kopitiam factory. Sorry for the disturbing image, but I think I need to share with I have to share with you this. So the case involved with the explosion at a production floor in a food processing factory in Subanjaya. It happened in 2017, about 8 a.m. So from this accident, 8 employees suffer serious injuries of varying degrees of burn, and all of them have been sent to the hospital for special attention unit for emergency. And 5 of them were badly injured, about 20 to 80% burns on their bodies. And one of them suffered foot fracture, while 2 victims had only minor injury due to the blast of explosion. And Sadly, after a few days, three of them had died, and the bomber managed to contain the explosion from affected others area. So all of them are foreign worker and they're about to start their production at that morning at the cooking area for the food processing. And this is the after effect of the accident, the kitchen area. So at that morning, they are cleaning up their kitchen, preparing for the productions. So you can see the blast of the explosion. This is from another angle. Was caused from somewhere around here. Okay. You can see the video, right?
Yes, sir. Very terrible.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so the root cause of the accident, this factory, they were using an industrial thermal oil jacketed cooker on the first floor. This is the thermal oil jacketed cooker. I will tell you on the details. This was used to cook the food product for the PTN chain, and this is the cause of the explosion. And the worker who they are new recruit workers, the one who turned on the cooker. So the new staff, we check the record that they don't have any proper induction training or any formal training. They just put them in the production. So please ensure when you join any company in the future, when you graduated, please make sure you have a proper induction training. This is very important. On the day of the accident, he turned on the thermal oil, jacketed cooker, and then he was supposed to fill the ingredients in the cooker, but when he went to the inventory, they have a shortage of raw material, and he was supposed to notify the supervisor that there are no raw material because he already turned on the cooker, but left the area and went to other area to do some other tasks, but the cooker is hitting the still on the turn on. So 20 minutes later, the cooker explode and caused the huge blast to the factory structure. So when we arrived at the site, we do the investigation. We found that this is the thermal oil jacketed food processor. One of the cooker is badly exploded and ruptured. So this is the cause of the explosion. So this thermal oil jacketed processor, it different from our domestic cooker, which we put the oil in the pan, but for this thermal jacketed, they put the oil outside the body in the jacketed uh, oil. So it have the safety valve and the pressure gauge. So there are a few type of jacketed food jacketed food processor. Some using the steam, some using electric, and some using the gas. For this accident, they were using the LPG gas. But for the purpose to explain, I show you the concept how the cooker works. So when the heat they turn on the heat, for this they're using steam. So the heat was supposed to heat up the raw material, but due to the shortage of the raw material, the jacketed only heat the material, the steam material, without any heat transfer, and it caused pressure build up in the jacketed thermal oil. And they were supposed to have the safety valve. When there are overpressure, they were supposed to release the pressure. But from the Bomba report, they have taken the safety valve. The report tell that the safety valve already clogged and the gauge was not was malfunction, and it caused a rapid pressure build up until the cooker material cannot withstand the pressure and it explodes. That's why you see a huge amount of vapor cloud. The explosion type is a Bleve type explosion. So lesson learned from the accident, it could be prevented if the company had conduct the risk assessment and establish a proper safe work procedure. They had been charged in the court of law and fined some amount due to their lack of risk assessment. If they do proper risk assessment, they might foresee this hazard. And it is important to have effective supervision for the new workers. I said, must ensure you have a proper on-job training or at least a formal training. And when operate any hazardous plant like the thermal oil jacketed cooker, any employer should not let the new workers, inexperienced workers, without any training to operate such a hazardous plant. And training or induction is very mandatory. You can see any construction site, every day they have a toolbox meeting to remind their workers on this. And information on the risk of any hazardous plant like the thermal oil jacketed cooker must also be communicated to all the staff. And safety features like the safety relief valve, they must be maintained and periodically test on their functionality to prevent such accident. Okay, so the second case is on the hazardous ammonia release. This happened in Malacca. Okay, this happened last year. A catastrophic anhydrous ammonia release due to thermal shock blast in a raw poultry processing industry. So from the accident, 31 workers suffer breathing difficulties and 3 were sent to the hospital for intensive care unit due to their respiratory system problem. And a few minutes after the explosion, the factory area was filled by a large amount of ammonia vapor cloud, and they immediately forced evacuation and emergency response has been activated. So the bomber went to the factory and spray. They're using the water blanket to dilute the ammonia, because once the ammonia released to air, you need to use water to immediately dilute the gas. However, because the source of release still continue to supply to the environment, they ask the supplier to weld the source of release from end pipe from this area. So this is the factory. They process poultry, the chicken poultry. So the source of release from 1M rupture pipe due to the hydraulic shock event. So in the factory, they're using the blast freezer. The blast freezer was used to rapidly freeze the poultry product. You can freeze a chicken about only less than 1 hour by using this blast freezer. And for this freezer, they were using the ammonia refrigerant. So the hydraulic shock was induced by the rapid pressure rise in the pipeline, so that the ammonia supply to the blast freezer, because during the accident there was in the stage of defrosting process. First you put the raw poultry chicken into the freezer, then you frozen them. Before you taking out the chicken, they need to defrost the process, and the ammonia was supposed to stop at the defrosting stage, but because of the malfunction of some features, the ammonia continue to be supplied. You know that ammonia is a cold chemical, and inside the blast freezer they will really release the hot gas after the frozen stage. Because the continuous supply to the freezer, after the operator stop, the solenoid valve was supposed to stop the ammonia. It was supposed to cut off the supply, but because this solenoid valve was malfunction, the ammonia continued to be supplied. So because of the offset of the system, it has created a phenomenon known as the hydraulic shock. So this is how the hydraulic shock happen when the hot ammonia gas meets with the liquid ammonia, because it's not compatible. The hot one meets with the cold one. Due to the incompatible, there are turbulence inside the pipe, causing like a tsunami inside the pipe, and this create something like hammering effect in the pipe, hitting one of the end joint until the pipe cannot withstand the hammering effect and rupture the pipe. Once the ammonia released to the air, it expands from the liquid into the gas. So this is the solenoid valve. We have taken dismantle the valve from the system, and we study the inner components. We found that the ones involved with the accident have badly uh, badly damaged by the ammonia system. the oil seal inside it already damaged, and we see the valve have lot dirt and particles. So the dirt was accumulated inside the solenoid valve, and it was not supposed to be inside it because the system have a strainer, but when we check the strainer, it was not properly maintained, causing some deposit of dirt and particles in the system. So this is the reason why the solenoid valve cannot properly function, because the mechanism already damaged. So from this accident, the hydraulic shock phenomenon is a common cause of failure for the ammonia refrigerant system. And there are two identical cases happened in the US in 2007 and 2010. So it's a common type of failure for the ammonia system. And from our investigation, we find out that the owner and the supplier failed to properly maintain the refrigerant system that lead to the accumulation of the dirt and particles in the system, which affected the solenoid valve. And there are no proper maintenance procedure or checklist for the refrigerator, and the critical component like the solenoid valve, they were supposed to change the valve after 5 years, but from the record we checked that they never changed for the past 10 years. And to maintain such a system, they need to have a proper competent company to service or maintain the system. And at least they must have a period comprehensive maintenance on the critical part. Like the solenoid valve, when we check the manufacturer recommendation, they need to change after 5 years. And there are some conditions if they can use for the longer period, but that never been complied by the owner. Okay. So another case I would like to share with you is a man was crushed to death by a paper shredder machine. Okay. So for this case, a worker was killed inside a paper shredding machine that kicked into gear as he was released a bulky big jam paper. So the company, the factory that manufacture the paper for product box. So the accident took place on 2016 in Shah Alam. So the victim was tasked to operate a shredder machine of the rejected paper for the purpose of recycle. And when he operate the machine, I think he want to put extra papers into the machine, but the paper had already jammed, so he climbed on the machine and kicked the paper using his leg without any supervision. And when the machine suddenly rotated after the uh, release, the victim have been crushed inside the machinery, have been put inside the machine. So when the bomber came, he was still alive, but he was pronounced dead at the scene because half of his body crushed inside the machine. You can see how big the tools of the shredding machine. When I reach at the area, I still can smell the victim blood. So the machine was left idle for about 2 years because the factory have moved from Subanjaya to Shah Alam, and they do not use this machine for 2 years for the reason I do. And suddenly they uh, put into the operation to support the production output. And the operator, the victim was foreign workers. So when we check the machinery, there are safety features installed, such as the guarding door and the safety switch. And there are no proper safe work procedure, and no risk assessment has been conducted for the use of the machine. So when we look into the detail, this machine, when you open the gate, the guarding of the tooth, of the machine tooth, they are supposed to have a limit switch here that's supposed to cut off the power of the machine. But when we check, there are some bypass on the safety features. So we suspect that the workers trying to feed the machine with a large amount of the pepper, that's why it was caused a jam. Maybe the production demand. That one we do not look into the detail. So what happened after the accident? The employer have take some corrective action. First, they put emergency stop button, which previously at the back of the machine. Now they put extra safety switch, emergency stop button in front of the machine, and over here, if you can see. And then they install a fencing to avoid any workers to climb on the machine. And if they open the fencing, they put extra safety barrier like the safety switch over here, that we also cut the power supply. And to open this gate, the guarding, they need to open it by vertical open using the pneumatic system. They cannot. Okay, so after the accident, they properly establish safe work procedure after they conduct a summary assessment, and the training become mandatory for any workers who are who want to operate this machine. Okay, from this accident, the dangerous part or any rotating part of machinery should always be enclosed and or guarded to prevent access, and safety measures must be developed for operation, maintenance, or troubleshooting. And the guarding of machinery like this rotating part is a law requirement under the Factory and Machinery Act. And when there are abnormal activity happen at production production area, they need to disconnect the power supply, or at least the maintenance personnel, and should not by themselves. The operator should not troubleshoot by themselves, and this must be put into a proper safe work procedure when any machinery have trouble issue, need to troubleshoot. So risk assessment are very important when you are dealing with the machinery. And for the trainings, safe work procedure and engineering control requirement must be identified when you conduct the risk assessment. And of course, the maintenance part for the daily checklist, you must have like functional test so that the machinery will have a high safety integrity. Okay. Okay, another case I would like to share is on the cause of accident. So this case happened when a supervisor in charge of transferring and storing finished product. This is a factory that involved with the manufacture of steel product, the aluminium products. So when he was tasked to supervise the area, he was hit by a steel product cart and a block of crane hooks of overhead traveling crane. It is common when you went to any factory, they're using the overhead traveling crane to product. So the object fell from a height due to the wire rope failure, which were used to transport aluminium products. And the victim was pronounced dead at the scene due to severe injuries sustained by the victim. The occurrence happened somewhere in Kajang on 2017 at approximately 10 a.m. So this overhead traveling crane, or OTC, was operated by a Naples who was carrying two rack filled with the square hollow aluminium. It's about 1.2 ton when the wire cable snapped. So I'll share with you the video here. So when the finished product sent here by the lorry, then they lift the car. You see, the supervisor was not standing outside the green zone, but far from the load. And when the cable snapped, it still hit the supervisor even though he was in the green area. So it means when you stay or walking under the lifting load, suspended load, ensure you have a safe distance from the load. So we did our investigation on the machinery, and we found that the cause of the accident was due to the wire rope failure. we take the sample of the wire rope and brings to our lab, and the stereo microscope is that under the microscope we study the damage mechanic. So the fracture of the wire rope strength, we found that was due to the fatigue behavior. I believe you know the fatigue behavior. There are striation mark the fracture surface. So when we check the record, the rope was just being replaced less than a year. So it was unlikely that the rope might fail by the fatigue behavior unless you can shorten the lifespan of the load if you change the stress amplitude of the load. So when you increase the stress, operating stress of the rope, the lifespan will be reduced. That explains why the load, the rope fracture by the fatigue behavior. And the overload capacity, when we study the cause, we found that they want to meet the production demand, so they raise the load capacity. I mean they increase the load usage of the crane. So the crane was supposed to have the cut-off limit. I mean, if you have the overload event, it was supposed to cut off the power, but they have bypassed the cut-off limit switch. And we checked the factory have almost there are many overhead traveling crane, and almost 70% of the crane was have a malfunction cut-off limit switch. And we issued a stop work order for them to change the cut-off limit switch and to reset back to its original setting. So from this accident, okay, we have put on our web page. You can use this to study the cause of accident. So you can use the OSH accident cost calculator. There are parameters here that I used to calculate for this case. You can try to use this calculator to calculate the cost of accident. Then you put the input and you get the cost of the accident. So from this case, on the surface, if we look into the medical cost, rehabilitation cost, the estimate composite, and the funeral cost is about 111,000. That's on the surface, but in the detail, if you look the indirect cost like the productivity loss, worker replacement, because this is a management level, the administration and legal fees, investigation costs, machinery or equipment damage, product damage, fine and penalty, and the prevention costs after the accident, the corrective action, it will cost almost 644,000. That is a cost backed by the company, and but for the his family also bearing the cost, almost a half of million. And the total cost for both the company and the affected employee, it is more than 1 million. It look like a simple case, but the cost of accident is not small. It's very expensive. If the company take a reasonable step to properly maintain the wire rope, I think this is not even 5% of this cost. So what we can learn from this accident is failing to observe safety procedures in the handling of an overload traveling crane have caused the death to the victim. And the engineering controls such as safety limit switch must be properly maintained. You cannot bypass the safety features. When we install the safety features, it was intended to prevent such occurrence. The other thing is that there are no daily checklists on the wire ropes, and there are no proper procedure for the lifting gear or any checklist. When you have any lifting activity, you are supposed to check all the lifting gear every day or every time you need to use the lifting or hoisting machinery. And apart from that, even though you are not standing under the suspended load, but you need to have some safe distance, because when the wire rope snap, it will swing and hit you if you do not establish a proper safe distance from the overhead traveling crane. And safe working load should not be exceeded by any means. Whatever the reason, you want to have a more production output. When we put the safe working load, that means we have put the safety factor, and you were not supposed to exceed the limit. So from what I share with you, the cost on risk control measure and safe system of work is far cheaper than the cost of the accident. And it's important to prevent the accident by daily checklist on the wire rope condition, proper preventive maintenance, and the machinery functional test. Apart from that, the lifting plan is very important. For this case, they do not have any lifting plan. They just operate the machine like that. Okay, this is another case that I would like to share with you. So there are a resident engineer falls to his death at MRT construction while doing the inspection work on August last year. So even though we are engineers, we have high level of safety awareness at the workplace, but we are exceptional to accident like this. So always ask, is it safe when you go to any workplace or when you do your undertaking or your technical works? Even the engineer also face a situation like this. Okay. This is another accident happened in Bukit Beruntung. So the contractor was erecting a new factory, and they do not follow the proper method statement, the procedure to erect the structure. It was supposed to fix the connection, but they failed to follow the sequence of construction, and this caused one life. Workers have died from the workers was on the top of the structure when during the erection, and they put the purlin in one area, so there are localized load across the topper of the structure. It's important when the professional engineer prepare a method statement. By any means, the contractor or worker was supposed to follow the method of statement. This is another fatality cases happen in the automotive industry. So nowadays, there are a lot of robotic arm in the automotive industry, and the area was supposed to have a guarding rail, so no one should enter the area. But on the day of the accident, the operator have a problem with the system, with the robotic arm. So they call for the technician to check the problem, to troubleshoot the robotic arm. And the maintenance personnel open the gate, and he trying to check the system, and suddenly the robotic arm hit the maintenance person, the technician head. Even though he was wearing the safety helmet, the dynamic load from the robotic arm had killed the workers. I was supposed to have the safety switch when you open the gate, but it was not properly maintained. Then the power was not cut off. So whatever happened when there are non-routine job, you're supposed to ensure that the power was cut off before enter any danger zone like this. This is another cases happen in the brick manufacturing factory. So the machine was used to lift the brick from the production to the rail to transfer the brick. During the operation, the table for lift the load stuck somewhere here. Then the operator climbed the machine to check the safety switch. When he was trying to check the switch, the machine, the platform table automatically move, and the worker's head hit the column here, and he fell down and died at the scene. So this is another case happened food manufacturing company. They manufacture sweet for chewing sweets. So the victim was tasked to do the cleaning at the area. Was not the operator for the machine. So this area was idle for the past 2 years. And the machine was used to process the chewing sweet, chewing gum, and left idle for 2 years. At the day of the accident, the three workers was tasked to clean the area. So before the cleaning work, they was supposed to turn off the power, but to unknown reason, we found out that the power supply was not cut off. So when he cleaning the area, he feel tired and sit on the machine, and the arm of the machine, when the victim hit the button, the machine automatically turn on and hit the workers. Okay, this is another cases. Actually, a case like this, almost every week we have a report. There are mobile cranes stopper. So for this case, it was lucky that the forklift operator over here was not in his machinery when the mobile crane topple. So it's important when there are any lifting activity, they need to have a proper lifting plan and a proper risk assessment. Okay. This is the cases involve new young workers who join the company. He used a water jet to to clean material and got electrocution because the machinery properly isolate on the electrical appliance. So when you join any workplace in the future, make sure ask yourself, is it safe to operate any machine? Even a simple water jet machine like this, it can cause death if you take safety for granted. Okay. So from all this accident, you can see that it is important to have the risk assessment. So I will tell you in detail what is the risk assessment. And negligence of worker safety can cost life. You cannot take things for granted. So some of the cases happen because most of the employer they don't have adequate knowledge on the proper risk management, and most of the control measure they rely on their workers rather than consider the safety from the design stage or put a safety control in the system of work. Some of the case we found that there are control measures like the safety switch, but the implementation, the maintenance was not there. And the other important factor is the communication on the risk. It's important to educate and train your workers and how to deal with the hazard and the risk they are dealing with. So how to prevent this all this accident like this and properly manage the safety and health risk? So we can prevent the incident from any stage if we conduct a risk assessment. So the risk assessment is a process of hazard identification the risk assessment and the risk control. For example, when you are going to operate the machine, like the shredder machine, first we identify what's the hazard. So the shredder machine, we know that there are rotating tooth part, then we know the hazard. Then we do the assessment, like how the rotating part can cause injury to workers. And we know we need to prevent the workers from getting into the rotating part by having the proper guarding and gate or safety.
也是还没有2个小时哦，才1个小时半就断了8次。
Hello? Okay. So actually the risk assessment is a proactive measure that we can foresee how accident can happen. While the incident investigation is a reactive measure, it means we wait for things to happen, then we know what need to be done. So the risk assessment is the stage that we can proactively identify what accident can be prevented. So the risk assessment is the cornerstone of the on managing the risk to safety and health of the workers. So it provides you the systematic and objective approach to assess the hazard and its associated risks. So by conduct the risk assessment, you will fulfill the general duties of the employee that's spelled out in the OSHA. So we DOSH have established the guidelines to identify the hazard. The guideline to identify hazard to conduct a risk assessment and the risk control. This guideline known as the HIRAC guideline. You can download from the website, from the DOSH website under the guidelines. So this is just not to, I think you can learn this just by reading it, you understand how to conduct a risk assessment. Because things like this we may not be teach in your undergraduate program. So you need to have this, you need to read this, and it will be useful when you in your future, in your career. Okay. So just some note for you. Someday you will graduate and become an engineer. So why engineer need to embrace OSH? First, the engineer responsible in protecting the safety, health, and well-being of the people who are and will be impacted by his or her works. Remember, when you become an engineer, for example, to become a designer, you have to think how your design can prevent accident, mean design for safety. And as an engineer, you have ethical obligation. The engineer have a code of conduct, which is the code of ethics. As an engineer, when you see any hazardous situation or any risk, you need to do something. You cannot let the situation affected people. That is important thing for engineers to remember. So sometime in the future, you may face situation where you need to decide, are you going to cut the cost over safety, like you are going to optimize something such as your design. Maybe you are going to optimize something. You should not only consider the cost, you must also consider the safety. That is spelled out in the code of ethics. And with the strong engineering principles, engineer can be a better safety professional. Like for example, some of the control measures require your engineering principles to design something that others cannot do it. It must be done by an engineer, like setting a safety factor for a load-bearing device. Or for example, you want to design a working platform. When you design a working platform, the one who consider the safety factor, everything should be the engineers. So by better understand of workplace hazard, we help engineers to come up with a better solution and design. That's why the engineers must embrace the OSH. So I think that's it for my sharing. So if you have any question, you can ask me. Okay, thank you.
Alright, thank you, Tajul. Any question from the students? Ada soalan tak? Ada soalan boleh tanya.
Bahasa Melayu pun tak apa.
Boleh. Baik, ada soalan ni. Where can we take the OSHA certification? Tajul?
Sorry?
Where can we take the OSHA certificate? Kat mana kita boleh ambil OSHA?
Sorry, not clear. Ada hiccup sikit.
Where can we take the OSHA certification?
OSHA invitation,
Ya, OSHA certificate. Kat mana boleh ambil?
OSHA certificate. Okay. Let me stop the. Okay, OSHA certificate. OSHA is not a certificate. OSHA is a law. So this. Sorry, Okay, OSHA, you can download from DOSH website. You go to www.dosh.gov.my. You can see my screen, right?
Boleh.
So you can download the OSHA from the website here. So I believe your question is, you want to ask, is there any certification, I mean, competency program under the OSHA, right?
Yeah.
So under the OSHA, like for example, that there are requirement to have the safety and health officer. So for safety and health officer, you can nowadays there are many training provider train the safety and health of. So you can go to, for example, NIOSH. NIOSH, you can have the 2 weeks program for the safety and health officer. Then after you finish the program, you can take the exam lah. But you need to have some experience on safety lah before you take the safety and health, become a safety and health officer and get the green. But other than the safety and health officer, as for the mechanical engineer, you can become the boiler engineer or steam engineer under the Factory and Machinery Act. Because any factory operating a boiler, they need to have boilermen and the steam engineer. So if you take the mechanical engineering, so you may fulfill requirement to become a engineer. There's a certified competence competency roles. Okay, saya check. You will check. Okay, ni is it CSOSH, Certified Security Operation and Health under ODOSH. Actually bukan CSOSH, dia SSO, Safety and Health Officer, the Green Book one lah. Okay, from Farhana, kalau kemalangan berlaku sebab kecuaian mangsa, company kena bertanggungjawab beri pampasan kepada keluarga mangsa ke? Okay, bila berlaku accident sebab kecuaian mangsa, OSHA punya approach, apa saja kemalangan berlaku, first kali kita akan check adakah pihak majikan telah menjalankan semua tanggungjawab dia. Contoh, dia bagi training, dia dah sediakan risk assessment tadi, dia dah sediakan prosedur. Kalau majikan tu sudah ambil semua setakat yang praktik untuk prevent daripada accident, majikan tu kena bertanggungjawab lah. Dan berkaitan pampasan ni, dia depend pada law, labor law, akta buruh. Di bawah, kebiasaannya dia akan bayar lah pampasan. Dan kecuaian mangsa ni kita akan tengok, biasanya kecuaian berlaku mungkin disebabkan dia tiada proper training. So menyebabkan dia cuai. So kita siasat juga, adakah kecuaian tu disebabkan mangsa ataupun memang ada isu berkaitan dengan majikan dia lah. So OSHA punya approach ni dia macam kalau anak kecil yang belum cukup umur, dia bawa kereta ataupun motor, bila kena saman, yang kena saman tu adalah bapak dia. So kita macam mana pun kita akan tengok punya bapak lah, punya majikan dulu. Tapi ada kes juga yang berlaku, pekerja tu kena saman. Last year kita ada kes pekerja bawa forklift, memang kecuaian dia, so kita saman pekerja tu lah. Dia ada peruntukan juga. Berapa orang Green Book holder di Malaysia? Dekat website ni saya lupa link dia, tapi rasanya dia punya keperluan masih tidak cukup untuk dengan industri. Maknanya industri belum cukup lagi lah Green Book holder, belum cukup safety and health officer. Okay, so saya just nak share, sekarang ada requirement untuk safety and officer. So nanti akan ada OSHA baru, mungkin ada jawatan lain seperti sebagai contoh OSH coordinator, dia lebih rendah daripada safety and health officer. Tapi yang tu akan jadi popular nantilah, OSHA baru akan keluar. Okay, daripada Muhammad Amirul Hakim, kalau kemalangan berlaku atas kecuaian mangsa, safety officer atau tipe S harus bertanggungjawab atau sepenuhnya atas mangsa. Okey, biasanya memang berlaku aksiden, kita akan tengok banyaklah. Kebiasaannya orang akan salahkan pekerja lah, mangsa. Tapi kita akan tengok juga duty safety officer dengan site safety supervisor tu, adakah dia dah comply. Dan apa-apa pun kita akan tengok kebiasaannya, case you all boleh check dekat website ni. Kebanyakan kes you tengok dekat prosecution, kebiasaannya kita akan saman kepada pihak majikan lah. Kita tengok kalau macam melibatkan safety officer atau site safety supervisor, kita akan ambil tindakan seperti kita gantung dia punya green book license dia lah. Sebab jika kita siasat memang ada pelanggaran, so kita akan gantung green book dia lah. Tapi kebanyakan kes kita akan saman majikan lah. You can check dekat kita punya website. Banyak kes lah. So far tak ada lagi lah kes yang kita saman safety officer. Okay, Ahmad Muzammil, saya dah ambil cert attendance exception NIOSH tapi belum ambil exam. Kalau OSHA dan FMA dah combine nanti, saya perlu ambil cert attendance exception semula ke? Okay, untuk OSHA baru, kebiasaannya dia akan follow yang lama lah, cuma dia ada perubahan mungkin dari segi penalti, dari segi tak banyak perubahan lah dengan yang lama. Dia lebih pada enforcement yang baru ni, lebih pada enforcement lah. So maybe you punya attendance tu still valid lah. Okay, dulu ke kami ambil green book untuk jadi SSC engineer selepas grad degree engineering atau dijadikan sebagai added value saja. Okay, macam saya cakap tadi, kalau you dapat tengok into safety dari taking the green book program, lebih bagus lah kalau ada SSC engineer ni. Dia sebagai engineer ni, I think you become a better safety professional lah. Sebab a lot of thing, ada benda yang macam safety officer, dia ada limitation untuk decide what is the best engineering control. But for the engineers, I think dia boleh lihat lebih detail sampai tahap design lah. It's a good if you take the green book program, tapi it's not mandatory lah. I think better you go for professional engineer lah. Itu lagi better. And you still can become the safety officer if you involve with the safety at your workplace lah. Okay, ada soalan lagi?
Okay, ada soalan lagi? Kalau tak ada, okay, rasa dah tak ada kot.
Tak ada
Right. Okay, kalau tak ada, saya rasa kita stop sini lah. Okay, so terima kasih kepada Ada Tajul untuk perkongsian pada petang ni. Alright. Atau ada lagi? Tak ada kan? Alright, terima kasih kepada Encik Tajul atas perkongsian.
Okay, terima kasih kepada semua atas perhatian. So saya minta maaf ada salah silap cakap. Okay, so terima kasih Dr. Syukri.
Okay, terima kasih.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Maybe